Thank you for calling the location information line for You Know the Score. Here are your meeting points. London Bridge, Southwark Bridge.
You must have a ticket and you must be a member. Your membership cards entitle you to free drinks.
Please keep tuned. Genesis Reunion 89 is here.
The 1980s, UK, the Thatcher reign. A time where a generation has been brought up under Thatcher's rule, encouraging to value prosperity. The city of London was thriving while the rest of the UK was struggling. Elsewhere, techno and house music from Chicago and Detroit was booming. This style of music had made such an impact, it made it across the Atlantic and was introduced to Europe, settling in holiday clubbing destinations such as Ibiza. British DJs loved the sound and vibes it impacted on clubbers, in which they brought it back to the UK, experimenting and playing the sounds in clubs, innovating the future for that UK sound. And because of this, the root and pioneers of UK rave culture was born, the original rave generation. This is Acid House.
So many questions have been made about this new dance craze called acid. What people really want to know is how the story all goes about acid.
So what is Acid House? Acid House can be distinguished by its deep bass lines and distinctive sounding synths, usually from the synth Roland TB-303. Acid House also uses euphoric vocals, chords, melodies and strings, incorporating a fusion of sounds, together making it to what it is.
Got it and just had one bass sound like that. That's how it began. And then as the other guys got it, they tried to get more creative with it, and they started turning all the knobs and people not knowing that that's how acid music started.
Feel it all around as you dance.
The Acid House segment was recognized as a social movement and subculture revolution. Thatcher's reign in the 1980s had a huge impact. The nation was suffering hard times, we were in a deep recession, so to combat the inflation would have led to an increase of unemployment, especially for the working class industrial communities which were targeted first. So with a struggle, there's no surprise the reaction will be to rebel and unify. That sense of escape from the reality of the outside world was important, and this was through acid raves.
This is acid.
Acid House raves were hosted all over the country. Abandoned warehouses, air hangars, forests and fields. Shoom, Hacienda Nightclub and Clink Street Studios hosted big events in their venues. These venues had roadblocks full of people, too packed to get in.
It was just a nut house. It was absolutely crazy. There was like too many people than could get in. There'd be loads of people outside trying to get in, but the place was just a roadblock. Just around the corner there, where the actual entrance is to the prison, there was people climbing drain pipes to try and get into windows to get in. It was like absolute mayhem, and the real birth of acid house culture.
These raves would go on throughout the evening, through the night, till the next morning. So what was their secret? How did the party goers keep dancing throughout the night non-stop? Ecstasy. This Class A was introduced to the club scene, given the label the chemical generation. With its high demand, heavy-duty dealers got involved. There was lots of money to be made. This drug was able to increase euphoria and give a sense of love. This illegal drug caused so much attention to the culture itself and therefore was portrayed negatively by the media. The media and government highlighted the negatives consistently. Acid by D-Mob was banned by the UK's primary music show Top of the Pops due to the word acid. However, BBC Radio 1, the UK's #1 radio station, was still enriched by the phenomenon and carried on promoting acid house.
Premier Pop Show has decided not to play tracks that have references to the word acid. We, on the other hand, decided to carry on playing acid house music because we've been aware of this for some 14 months. It's almost a bit of a storm in a teacup, really, after quite such a time. And we understand what the true meaning behind acid house music and the term acid is in this particular genre of music. Is it once more a cynical exploitation of youth culture by the media, merely to generate headlines to sell newspapers?
Police closed down illegal parties and enforced drug searches at raves, causing disruption and tension with the ravers.
It's about drugs. The only reason that you're sitting here now, the honest truth is the only reason you're sitting here now is because of the sun.
Fact of the matter is, there are very lights, sound crews, lasers, spotlights, heaters, people to take cloaks, people's coats in the cloakroom. There is free refreshment, there's security, there's fire exits.
We don't want to discuss the whole matter with you.
To allow magistrates to impose fines of up to £20,000, send the organisers to prison for up to 6 months and confiscate their profits.
Besides police, groups of armed thieves would have headed to these parties and unfortunately targeting promoters and dealers. As these parties are illegal, they couldn't turn to police or authorities for assistance.
You didn't see a bank robbery all the time you had acid parties. Never. You didn't have to. If they could go to half a dozen parties on a Friday, Saturday night and walk off with a couple of £100,000, as they did, easy money, isn't it?
They had to hire muscle for protection. At the time, the nation was swarming with football firms standing their grounds on the terraces during the 80s. These gents would take the opportunity to get involved in the scene as security, bouncers and doormen at licensed and illegal parties. The music was recognised nationwide and wise men understood the potential on monetising acid house events. An example of this was Tony Wilson. He knew its potential. He owned a venue in Manchester, becoming at the time the most go-to club called Hacienda, and therefore was an iconic site of the scene.
Everything came out of a Hacienda. Dance music came out of a Hacienda, bands came out of a Hacienda, and anybody who wanted to have any sort of sense or feeling of what was going on in that town was in the Hacienda.
The acid house raves influenced what is marked as the summer of love. This scene had generated a moment where your race, sexuality, class, gender, gang differences were put to the side. Barriers were broken down. These raves ensured the love and prosperity with everyone. People spoke to anyone, wives and husbands were met for the first time, friends were made and memories were treasured for a lifetime. Throughout the summer, June to September, every weekend, all the acid raves were rammed. Fashion styles and statements were its most creative. People in dungarees, baggy clothes, hoodies and colourful branded designs were truly represented at the time. No one cared what you looked like, what you wore, there was no phones, just music, you can have truly been you. So how's it influenced our music, inspired our generation? The late 80s showed changes in the world, the Berlin Wall was knocked down, Tiananmen Square protests in China. Things were changing, everything was changing. This scene was the foundation, the pioneer of this electronic music journey. So many were inspired, influencing DJ legends such as Carl Cox, Pete Tong, Fatboy Slim, and many, many more. It is a time where people wish they could have gone back. Till this day, various groups still keep the music alive by hosting events and venues within the UK. Groups such as the Acid House Experience, promoting these events for the old school and new ravers, very much keeping it alive. The generation of the time experienced an event that would not have been compared to anything else. Those who've been through it would know. A time that many others would have wished they could have experienced. Next time on That UK Sound, The acid scene evolved and the genre started changing. The music dropped the boundaries of race and culture. The British generation of Caribbean youth started bringing in their own influences onto the scene, from the roots of ska, dub and reggae. This is the sound of jungle.
Outrageous and unacceptable examples of the problems caused by New Age travelers and ravers.
That's Steppa and MC my Goldie. And together we're known as the Too Rough Crew. Nice and easy. Sounds of the dub plate. Goes out to our ladies.
Before the drum and bass, before the jungle, there was UK hardcore. At the same time, due to the massive scale of the UK rave scene, many more raves started to become legal, as long as they were being supervised. Acid house sounds started changing, bringing other forms and styles. On the other hand, across the Atlantic, the US was experiencing over a decade of an underground sound and urban movement known as hip-hop.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door, ready to make an entrance, so back on up, cause you know we're about to rip shit up. It's like this and like that and like this and it's like that and like this and like that and it's like this and like that and like this and Dre creep.
But let's go further back in time. After World War II, Great Britain encouraged mass immigration from countries of the British Empire for work and to help for the development of the nation. This included Jamaica. The Empire Wind Rush brought just under 500 Caribbean migrants, which some of them were ex-servicemen. They were picked up from Kingston, then brought to the port of Tilbury, giving them residency in Clapham and Brixton in London. Little did we know in the future of how much of an influence their culture impacted us. The Windrush generation not only brought dreams of prosperity, they brought style, music, and new sounds. In the late 60s, Pigmeat Markham is considered to be the first to introduce early elements of rapping.
Come November election time, you vote your way and I vote mine. This is a tie and the money gets spent. Vote for Pigmeat Markham president.
Not only that, at the time, funk, R&B, and soul was popular in the US, creating legends such as Aretha Franklin, Benny King, James Brown, and many, many more.
So good, so good. Now I got you.
In the UK, our scenes were driven by a subculture of punks, mods, and skinheads. In Jamaica, there were sound systems. An integral part of life due to their block parties and bringing communities together. Therefore, this resulted in Jamaican migrants in the UK creating their own handcrafted sound systems and bringing it to our communities. This therefore resulted in legendary future British sound systems such as Sir Cox and International, Channel 1, Jar Shaka, Abishanti and many more, representing different parts of the UK. This brought the element of toasting, lyrical singing over dub instrumentals, for in the future resulted in MCs. These sound systems did sound clashes to prove who was the UK's champion sound. Council estates were filled with working class English and Caribbean families, and this included the same in working class jobs. By the 70s, young working class English and Jamaicans came together in music, and with that came the two-tone scene.
This tone is coming like a ghost town. All the clubs are being closed down. This place is coming like a ghost town. Bands won't play no more. Too much fighting on the dance floor.
Now back in the US during the late 70s, DJs from New York such as Kool Herc from the Bronx realized when playing soul and funk to a crowd, the energy will peak up in the dance at the time of the drum break solo. So why is this all important? DJs of the time were always looking for sampled breaks, looking at the funk and soul tracks. Breaks such as the funky drummer, the Apache, Think and many, many more. But there was one record from 1969. It was the one break in particular that impacted our scene the most, and this can be heard here. Amen Brother by the Winstons. This 6-second break had such an amazing impact on musical history. Little at the time did the band and drummer know that this drum break would be sampled and used by many, in effect creating subcultures and genres from this one break. So why is this in relation to the UK rave scene? In the 90s, British DJs and producers started taking the breaks influenced by the US's hip-hop, fused the sounds together with acid and house, creating UK hardcore breakbeats. DJs brought this to the rave scene, changing the sounds, paving the way for new creativity and artists. In relation, this is why the understanding and importance of sound system culture had been an influence in UK music, even taking it back to the acid house raves, such creating free parties, placing sound systems in disused warehouses, air hangars and fields, getting shut down by police, rebelling against the system and bringing love and unity, similar to the scenes back in Jamaica.
Moment everybody was one.
Love, prosperity, be with us all. Jah, Rastafari.
He was able to do that. He was able to bring people together in that way. The same half uptown, half downtown, half black, half white. It's that marriage of everything. He just embodied it all in one person.
me something. You can play bass. You can play drum.
British rappers started putting their touch on the dance scene. The UK breakbeat sound was fresh and new, thanks to the US hip-hop. Artists such as Rebel MC and Ragged Twins started to incorporate their Jamaican influences, fusing it with dance. Ragged Twins and Rebel MC are considered the pioneers in the beginning of jungle from the hardcore scene, creating a path for more ragged influences. By 1992, more producers started experimenting. This included the distinctive bass lines used, rooted from dub and reggae. The scene grew big, introducing new DJs such as Kenny Ken, Nicky Finn, Nicky Black Market, and many, many more. MCs now started to demonstrate their talent on the scene by bringing the Jamaican influences of toasting, the rhyming on rhythms and amping up the crowds, creating jungle legends such as Tenafly, Hyper D, Skibbity, and many more. The scene started growing, causing mass attention, and this included the media. This was due to some of the junglist lyrics used, as they believed it glamorized the violence.
The reality which an individual seeks to portray through his or her music, then I cannot see how it can be a negative thing. They feed a mainstream, predominantly white fantasy about the lifestyles and the primary definers of blackness in Britain, the way in which young black men are seen to be running wild. And if, by feeding into this fantasy, artists embracing the so-called gangster rave genre can make money, then that is deeply subversive.
Jungle raves were packed full of people in iconic venues such as Club Labyrinth and the Sanctuary Music Arena. They saw the impact of this scene, later creating an iconic event known as Jungle Fever. Yeah, one thing that stood out Jungle Raves was the display of professional on-stage dancers, reflecting the hype and atmosphere of the scene.
Wicked, original, we're big up. All the original jungle is massive. The original dancehall jungle is there. General Levy alongside the MB. The world is in trouble. I want to tell a murderer. It goes, I am the incredible general.
Incredible by MB and General Levy became commercial, reaching the top 10 at the time, and with great success.
Yo, mad the whole of them, I spin them like a windmill. You talk for them, don't tell them how we got the skill. Dance gone nice and let's spend them on the bill. And the girls see you with vices like them jeans can't fulfill. Pass out with them in the pass out with them in the cold, like with them in the chill.
Allowing the opportunity to perform on TV shows such as the iconic Top of the Pops.
Incredible. Mr. Levy, on the mind, the general, the general. Keep up in the master, wicked, original. Minimum skin, minimum
And with that, Original Nutter by Shy FX and UK Apache managed to reach the top 40 in the UK charts, demonstrating the potential of the jungle scene's success in the UK mainstream.
You never know the article, me say them in a jungle. Well, you never know Shy FX, man, big in a jungle. Well, you never know UK Apache, big in a jungle. We tell everybody, watch it out, man. Me a the nutter, original, mad nutter, original, nutter, original, mad nutter, original, me a the nutter, me better than the bad boy, cause it a beard.
So how's it inspired future generations? No doubt, the classic tracks Incredible and Original Nutter will always be considered iconic tunes from the jungle era, and this can be thanked to the mainstream exposure and therefore will last a lifetime, thus still to this day creating havoc at raves. However, the old school junglists will always have their own unique favourite tune. The jungle sound isn't as predominant as it was in the early 90s, however, its influence can always still be heard. Scene influenced artists such as Benny Page, Ed Solo, Serial Killers, and many more, creating fusions of raga, DNB, and jungle.
Remember the words of prophecy.
The UK still holds jungle events and is still going strong. Not only that, artists from the scene are still performing to this day at raves and festivals, and they're still having that opportunity to perform all over the world. If in interest, check out Fax Cool's YouTube channel. They promote new raga, DNB and jungle music, having producers from all over the world influenced by this scene, and is one of my favourite channels to come by. One last important note, DJ Eastman, one of the founders of Cool FM, created the name Jungle Fever because of the film by Spike Lee. It focused on the issues of mixed relationships about black and white. Rave culture was doing more for race relations in the UK at the time than anything else. Similar back to the time when working classes of white and black came together on the dance floors during the 60s. The jungle scene will forever be a crucial moment in the UK underground scene. Future genres from the UK will stem off this. Out of all of this, we have to remember where it all started, and this was from sound system culture. And without it, we wouldn't have the musical styles we have today. Next time on that UK sound, the jungle scene was still thriving until the mid-90s. Alongside the same time, during jungle's birth, other DJs and producers used the same elements from UK breakbeats, but without the raga influence. This would impact the world's music scene. We will also focus on the importance of MCs and pirate radio. This is the sound of drum and bass.
Through the love of Jah, Rastafari save me. And through the love of Jah, Rastafari save me.
a judge you put by because my boy think before you talk. No locks it on my head, but me a rasta in my heart. Enough things I've been to long time, I want love. Jaja, show me the light and took me out of the dark. That's why every day I have to praise for Selassie and give thanks and praise unto the Rastafari. What is my birthday, the 7th of July? To land the truth, the chopper said, cause I'm born again. No more standing in the lion's den, no. I'm born again. No more standing in the lion's den, no. To the love of God, Rastafari say. And to the love of God, Rastafari say.
Fuck off back to your own countries, you jungle bunny, and you.
This is my fucking country, lady.
Come make we celebrate life. From you have a roof over your head and you asleep in a bed. You now worry where you asleep at night. I told you this, so let me tell you this twice. Come make we celebrate life. Even though you're homeless and have a whole heap of stress, just give thanks you are alive. The Almighty gave the health and strength to survive.
For 93, played by the Tonic. Sounds of the Cool FM 94.5 on the dial. 0860 395 262. Going out to all those sunshine ladies. X amount of respect. And remember who's the originator for that.
The late 90s. The music, the people, the UK underground sound was darker. And the bass lines were deeper. Technique. The sounds of UK jungle were changing, but let's rewind back in history.
Welcome to the early show.
There's a high-flying bird way up in the sky.
In the mid-60s, a guy called Ronan O'Reilly wanted to beat competition with the commercial radio stations, setting up a transmitter on a ship off the coast of Essex playing mainstream music, reaching an audience of millions illegally. This led to more boats taking the seas and setting up aerial transmitters to do the same, given the term pirate radio. But it was during the late 80s where this truly kicked off. Commercial radio stations and TV would not even dare touch the underground sounds. This forced new pirate radio stations to pop up in urban areas in the UK, stations such as Sunrise, Centre Force and Fantasy FM, to play the latest acid house tracks. Pirate radio stations always competed for being the champion radio and to get the best transmission signal. This would be from high towers, council estate rooftops. Radio stations controlled the manor, they controlled the block. As the music changed, so did the pirate radio stations.
Fire with to be a mic chanter. So this is cigarette free for the sense I mean ya. So cool FM we not crack dealers. Me God, me king, in danger of ya. It inspire me to be a mic chanter.
However, one thing we must keep in mind, the process of setting up an unlicensed broadcast station is illegal, thus having serious consequences with British law.
Up on sort of London skyline, and it's an ideal place if you were so motivated to have your own radio station, but we are not going to let people do that in our residential property.
Residents of these estates would usually report to authorities due to either loud music within the premises or interference with their preferred commercial radio stations. So the runners of pirate radio would frequently change locations in avoidance of being caught by police. Police allegedly report illegal radio stations that have been linked to finding drugs and uncovering unlicensed firearms.
Drugs, and that drugs dealers are prepared to pay quite a lot of money to get their adverts on these commercial radio stations. So the threat is being taken very seriously.
Like a siege or something. Yeah, it was like a big siege. They lit up all the place, the light and that, just to track 2 gigs on the roof. Like
3 hours.
3 hours. Yeah.
So why are pirate radio stations important, and how do they help DJs and artists? You need to understand that without pirate radio stations, local businesses such as the record stores wouldn't be thriving as it did at the time. UK underground music was in high demand in correlation to the commercial tracks. Record stores enabled the opportunity for their customers and listeners of a local pirate radio station to meet face to face with their local pirate DJs.
The radio stations, very, 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 very important. They played the tune on dub plate, the DJs played it out in the clubs, and then we'd get it on promo.
You'd want to go to Black Market, you want to go to Music Power, you want to go to Unity, you want to go to Wire for Sound because you wanted to get the freshest tunes before anyone else.
Within pirate radio, British MC culture was vital. As we know, the junglist scene incorporated the Jamaican influences of toasting, the rhyming over rhythms and amping up the crowds, later created MCs. Thus were a vital part of communications to the pirate listeners. With no visuals or video uploads, MCs got their respect and recognition due to their lyrical flow, recognizable ad-libs and voices. Rave promoters paid the pirate stations for MCs to give on-air promotions and other business relations. Pirate radio was such a crucial element in the UK underground music scene, and without it, the culture of British urban music wouldn't be where it is today. So what was wrong with jungle? That jungle sound that was popular all around the UK was starting to die out. The ecstasy days was fading and new substances were being brought into the scene.
About 96, 97, everyone was trying to make jungle tunes, and the formula had become tired by then. It had lost its essence.
There was a lot of trouble started happening in UK raves, which was nothing to do with class, that was to do with drugs, 88, 89, 90, everyone's taking ecstasy and they're all loving each other. By 1996, they're all fucking taking cocaine and champagne. It's a recipe for disaster.
This combination caused worse attention to the jungle scene and reputation. People headed to these raves causing disruption and violence to other ravers. Unfortunately, artists, producers and people wanted to separate themselves from jungle. Producers started to remove the raga, reggae and Jamaican influences, but keeping the bass and aim and break elements, giving that dark tonal atmosphere, which similarly represented the dark times of the UK scene, given the term drum and bass. DJs, producers and MCs from the jungle era was moving into the newly cool drum and bass, such as DJ Hype, Andy C, LTJ Bookham and many more. Tracks with heavy moving bass lines and breakbeats were considered rollers. However, after time, producers started to remove breaks and incorporate a style known as steppers. Formerly, a two-step beat which was more syncopated with a non-moving bass line, giving its distinctive style pioneering new waves. However, to this day, these two distinctions are always subjective to opinion. negative associations of violence from the UK underground raves, it was thought at the time that drum and bass would always stay underground. Clifford Price, aka Goldie, was such an important part in the jungle and drum and bass movement. Goldie put out an album, Timeless, reaching number 7 in the charts. This brought the DNB back to the attention of the media and new audiences. People that associated the old school reggae raga dub sounds in jungle had been dismissed of the genre due to its negative reputation, thus not wanting to be involved, but was suddenly paying attention to the scene again. The reason why Timeless and Goldie is so iconic is the fact that Goldie didn't change or try to imitate and cater to the commercial scenes. He kept the original underground sounds. Inner city life was playing everywhere, in shops, TV, adverts, commercial radio, the lot. Goldie was an icon. His raw personality and artistic talent made him into a star, receiving critical acclaim for it. From his tough past, for being raised in childcare and foster homes, he proved and gave hope that someone could break through, gain triumph from the UK underground scene, and become successful. His success allowed him to cross paths and rub shoulders with big name celebrities such as Oasis, Björk, David Bowie, and many, many more, opening opportunities for future movies.
Barry at height. Yeah, David Bowie was sitting on the floor, like nodding his head, like he was vibes out. And I was like, that's David Bowie.
And like that, living like a rock star. Following Goldie, other drum and bass artists started to be winning awards such as Bristol legend Ronnie Size. The popularity of the scene even made it through into the gaming world, and having the culture of drum and bass pirate radio in one of the most iconic gaming series, Grand Theft Auto 3 and Liberty City Stories.
Time soldiers in the airwaves. I'm a warming now. Yeah. MSX 98 FM. Yeah. We're moving from the shadows, London to Liberty. I transmit across the airwaves and hijack the whole city. Millennium Inca, buggers can be moving without a trace. Code break and blast the vocals, time code supply the bass.
So what makes DNB special, and how has this inspired future generations? The first time ravers of the mid to late 90s would have entered club venues, and the dark sounds of drum and bass would be the first things blasting onto their faces. Not only that, thanks to Goldie and other big DNB producers, there is no surprise that further in time, new DJs and producers will emerge inspired by the scene. The basic concept of drum and bass, it really is what it is, just drums and bass. Its heavy bass lines and fast pace is no surprise that this genre would automatically create a reaction to hype up the crowds. Furthermore, the genre has evolved, creating many more subgenres, subs such as jump up, Neurofunk, Liquid, and many, many more. Drum and bass has been such an important genre and is played at festivals and raves all around the globe. Not only that, the genre opened up the exposure and diversity of producers all over the world. Artists such as Makoto from Japan, Spy from Brazil, N.I. from Russia, and Netsky from Belgium, with many, many more becoming international big names in the scene. The genre has become a commercial front, more prominent than before. It is amazing to see drum and bass being played on international main festival stages. However, we must not forget where this all started. Labels from the time such as Ram Records from the legend Andy C, Metalheads, Hospitality Records from London Electricity, The Players label, and many, many more running till this day. Furthermore, we should not forget the UK drum and bass MCs, rooted from the junglist era. Legends still going strong such as X-Men, Skibbity, Shabady, GQ, MC Det, and many, many more.
And they do anything to meet her. We're just using in the two-seater. Shabba, not Michael. Get him a screen for the rifle. Drill him up like Skibber.
Hunger, hunger, we don't mean no blunder. When it comes to this jungle thing, I take you under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got your number. I'm big in the game and know my name. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bust up your G. But they get them in the back to back to back, rat tat tat. Up your bumper. I've got that G under my bumper.
But we must also remember the legends that are not with us anymore, leaving a legacy such as Tenafly, Stormin, and Hyper D, influencing and inspiring a new generation of MCs onto the scene. And we should not forget the DNB DJs and producers that are also not with us. All of them involved, influencing and inspiring a new generation of MCs and producers onto the scene. And without them, from the efforts of jungle drum and bass pirate radio stations, MCs and DNB producers, we wouldn't have this scene influencing the musical world that we have today. Next time on that UK sound, the drum and bass scene had its own respect in the UK by the late 90s. Alongside drum and bass events, a unique sound and style has been introduced into the scene. Hats, hoodies and trainers was replaced with loafers, suits and champagne. And up north, the Midlands started to bring their own take onto the sound, creating their own unique bass and style. This is the sound of UK garage and bassline.
Everybody treat make the gunman run a cup and slice it. They must shout ooh, in your head. Lyrical shot get popped by spread.